Need this. This here. Oh, we're live. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2148, When Stillness Sparks a Shift. This is part 3 of the Awakening series. Sorry, I was getting tied up with text messages and everything from nieces and messages from other people as well. So I apologize. I wasn't paying attention. But I am here now and I am present. And we're just going to go. Do I have my journal with me? Yes, I have my journal with me. Okay, we're good. All right, so part 3 of the Awakening series, When Stillness Sparks a Shift. Sometimes the biggest changes start in the quiet, not with a bang, not with a breath. Stillness doesn't always mean pause. It can mean preparation. That quiet ache, that soft clarity, that's where the shift begins. What stillness reveals, it reveals what's no longer aligned, what's been calling to you beneath the noise, the truth of what you are feeling once you stop outrunning it, and room to choose your next step with intention, not reaction. Now, I learned a meditation method one time, and that was to count your breaths. So as you're sitting in your place, it could be a chair, it could be on the floor, however you are sitting to meditate, as you close your eyes and you meditate, you count the number of breaths that you take with the goal to get to 20 breaths. You're probably going, well, that's easy. I can do 20 breaths. But there is a catch. Anytime another thought comes into your head, you have to start back at 1. So you just do 20 slow breaths in, slow breaths out. And if another thought pops into your head, you start back at 1 again. But the goal is to get to 20. So if you want to try that one, go for it. It's kind of hard to do until you get into the rhythm of it. Just helps you clear your mind. It helps you get to that place of stillness, of being in the moment and not allowing anything outside to come in. So sometimes we need to do that. It's kind of like a little mini brain reboot. So why do we avoid stillness? Out of fear. We avoid it because of fear of what will rise when we slow down. We feel guilty about not doing enough. We have an addiction to distraction and productivity. Yep, definitely got that one. And the myth that rest equals stagnation. Yep. For me personally, it is the addiction to distraction and productivity is what avoids me from slowing down and just going into stillness. But there are times I have to force myself into it. Oh, I totally forgot to bring down my my really cool headset that I have. I tell you, I've got the coolest headset. It's actually a sleep mask, and it's got speakers on the ears. It's really, really cool. See if I remember to bring it down for tomorrow night. So what a shift can look like is a change in perspective, not just plans. A boundary honored for the first time, saying yes to something that once scared you. You've been doing a lot of that lately. And saying no to something that used to define you. Yes, I've been doing a lot of this shifting lately, and it's been a very interesting journey doing this. Saying yes to something that once scared you. I had an aversion to doing certain things in my business, like sending out email campaigns. I now send out a weekly email. Once a week, I send out a newsletter. That's got me using email on a regular basis. Will I continue? And I also sent out an email marketing campaign last week that went over 3 days, and it's been a long time since I did that. But it's something that was sort of like, I really don't want to be a bother because I know how many emails I get in my inbox and how many of them are from the same organization. There's one that I get 4 emails a day from one organization. I went into my inbox this morning and there was like 100 and something brand new messages. And I went down and there was like 9 from one organization. I'm like, you've got to, and that came in since I looked at it last night before I shut everything down for the day. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Seriously, what can they want in 9 emails? And they expect us to follow and read 9 emails when they, so like, yeah, no, that's just too many. So I get into that mindset that I don't like being bothered by a lot of emails. So for me to step out and do an email marketing campaign that was sending out 1 email a day for 3 days, that kind of scared me a little bit because I don't like getting lots of emails from one person in my inbox or one organization in my inbox. So I don't want to do it to anybody else. But then I had to remind myself that I'm doing 1 email a day for 3 days when another organization is emailing me 9 times in 1 day. So I thought, okay, 1 email over 3 days, that's not so bad. Actually, over that time, I only had 3 people unsubscribe. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So, you never know. So saying yes to something that once scared you is a way that a shift can happen. And saying no to something that used to define you can also be what a shift looks like as well. And changing your perspective, looking at things in a different way. Who was I talking to the other day? I was talking to somebody the other day. It's about how either how as we get older or something major happens in our life. And I said it's for me, it's not so much getting older. It's the fact that when Brad passed, it was a wake up call to to me that there's a lot of stuff out there that I would used to get worked up over that, it just now rolls off my back. Like water on a duck's back. It just rolls off my back. Sorry, a little tongue-tied today. And I'm a lot more relaxed there's some things that will still irk me and I'll get a little tense about it, but then I just remember, is it going to matter in 5 years? No, then let's just let it go. That was my thing. Somebody taught me that years ago. So if something is bothering me, ask myself the question, is it going to matter in 5 years' time? If not, why worry about it now? If yes, okay, then we can look a little worried, but let's see how we can work through that so it's not so much of a worry, not so much stress and anxiety. And let's see how we can put it in a different light. So it's just learning to change your perspective about things. The plans are all still the same. The perspective has changed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff now that used to bother me when Brad was alive and all that. I just let a lot of that go now. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't worry me. Just don't try and get me to a dentist or a doctor because that would just totally freak me out. I tend to find it. So this is true story. I tend to find I had a bad experience with a dentist when I was 16 years old. The guy who was the dentist for the high school that I went to, because in New Zealand at the schools, they would have the dental nurse and they'll be in this little building off to the side at the school and you get called in once every 6 months to go get your teeth checked. For me, not a problem. Then I hit high school. I lost my last tooth, which is this one here. That's why this one's indented. So this was the last baby tooth to come out. And this one had come in on the inside of my mouth and kind of slid into position, but didn't get very far. And the tooth next to it, this one here, was a brand new tooth that had come through about a month or two beforehand. So while trying to remove the baby tooth that was here, first of all, getting the injections in the mouth hadn't been an issue, but this one day it was horrific. I was in so much pain with this thing. And even though he had given me the numbing, whatever they inject you with to numb your gums and all that sort of stuff, he was trying to pull out the old tooth. So he was using the new tooth that was directly beside it as a lever to help lever the old tooth out, which was causing me a lot of pain. And ever since then, I was scared of needles. Then I became a pincushion when I joined the Royal New Zealand Air Force on our second day on base. Our second day there, they marched us over to the hospital and we had to go on one end of the hospital and out the other end of the hospital. We had to go in and lay on a bed. We had to put our arms like this while they took a vial of blood from each arm. Don't ask me why they had to have it from 2 sides of the body. It's not like it's 2 separate systems in there, but I kind of felt that's what they were doing. The left arm, not a problem to get a vial of blood out of. This arm became a pincushion. They could not find and of course, I'm freaking out because they're using me as a pincushion. I'm already freaking out because it's needles. And so they were trying to get the blood out of this arm and they were stabbing at it and trying it. And they got one of the more seasoned people to come over and try it. Nope, we're not getting it out. So then they had to take it. And I said, why can't you just take it out of the left side? It's all the same blood. And they went off and asked that, no, it had to come from two separate arms, from two different sides of the body. I'm like, what does that matter? Even my mum, who was a nurse, when I was telling her about this, when I had a phone call with them and I was telling her about it, she was confused. And she was a nurse. And so they ended up taking out of my right. They said, okay, we're going to try the right hand. I says, what happens if you can't get it out of the back of the hand? And they turned around and says, we're going to have to go for the right ankle. Inside, I was freaking out like crazy. Yeah. And so that developed my fear of needles. Thank you very much. Although I will tell you this, the moment that we found out Brad had cancer, my fear of needles went away mostly. I watched every single IV that they put into him. I watched every time they accessed his Metaport. I watched every PICC line get put into him. Anything that involved a needle, I watched them get put in, and I did not freak out or anything else. When I had to go and have blood work done, I didn't freak out as much as I used to. I was still a little queasy about it and getting a little faint. So I made them I said to myself, I'm just going to have to lay down for you to do this. And so they were happy for me to lay down because I get very lightheaded, very dizzy, and you get this buzzing going in my head, and then I'd pass out. But after that, I wasn't even looking at what they were doing. It's just knowing what they were doing. And then the first time I had to have a blood draw after Brad was diagnosed with cancer, I looked away, but I didn't get that buzzy, heady feeling. I still felt a little queasy, but I got through it. And I was like, wow, that's the best blood draw I've ever had, because I haven't had this dizzy feeling stuff going on, which was awesome. So it's all about changing perspective. That's what that came down to. It was a change in perspective. When Brad was diagnosed with cancer, it was a change in perspective that took away a lot of stuff. So then fast forward to 2019, I had a problem with my molar. No, not on the gum. I had like a white bubble of gook on my gum, and I went in to get that done. And they tried to numb me with a gas mask, which was supposed to be laughing gas. And they pulled up the mask, and this is 2019. They pulled up the mask, and I said, what's that? And they said, oh, this is just to help calm you down before we put the injection into your gums. And I went, yeah, that's not going to work. They looked at me and go, why not? I says, I can't wear masks. And they're like, oh, well, then instead of putting the full face one, which was over the nose and mouth, we'll just put the nose one on. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work either. I said, I have a fear of masks. It's not going to work. They put the nose one on me anyway. So I just started breathing in and out through my mouth. They tried to close my mouth, and I went ballistic and ripped the thing off and literally threw the mask across the room and says, no, not happening. Just in my panic and freaking out. So then they were massaging my hands and using essential oils and everything to calm me down. And then they had me lay back with my mouth open. And then all of a sudden the dentist comes out and she whips out this needle and jabs me in the gum. And I'm like, just about go off the edge of the seat and everything else. And it was not a very good experience. I haven't been back to a dentist since. So let's just put it that way. So, and doctors, I only go to them when I feel like I need to go to them. I know my body very well. And again, part of the reason that I wouldn't go to a doctor was because of everything I'd seen Brad go through. There was a bit of PTSD and tied in with that, watching everything that he went through, all the troubles that he had, the times I had to stand up as an advocate for him and say, no, you are not doing that. We were told you guys were going to do this. You guys haven't spoken to us about changing this or changing that, or why aren't you doing this when you said you were going to do this, and what's going on here? Where's all this communication breakdown coming in? There was just a lot of advocacy that I had to do for Brad when he couldn't speak for himself. I stood there and did that for him and made sure that he had really good nurses too. Yes, I actually got one nurse banned from ever looking after Brad in the hospital again. So yeah, changing the perspective is a big thing. And yes, I know there are areas. And so saying yes to something that once scared me is like, I got to, go get medical checkups done and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So how did I get? Oh yeah. So we're just looking at how perception can change things, going from being afraid of needles to, turning around and saying somebody's got cancer to that fear basically going away. Although it's kind of back a little bit now, but we'll deal with that one later on. Anyway, so the legacy connection is stiffness is often where legacy finds its voice, not in the hustle, but in the hush. When we make space to hear what matters, we create room to pass on truth, not just tradition. Ooh, like that one. And your reflection questions for the day to put into your Porch Light Reflection Journal, which you can get by scanning the QR code up here in the left-hand corner. Your 3 questions for today, and they're in the description below, and they will be in the Awakening Journal that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. I've got to get the other 7 out first. What has stillness shown me recently? Where am I being invited to shift gently, honestly, slowly? What's growing in me that only silence could spark? And our closing thought for the day, you don't always need a plan. Sometimes you just need a pause and the courage to listen to what it's saying. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey,